About a week ago, we saw the FIBA 3x3 under 23 Team Kenya play in Mongolia, and my God, it was a capitulation performance. It was one of the most disappointing things that you can watch Team Kenya do. And in this video, I'll just be highlighting the things that I might have left out in the many videos that I made. I made a couple of videos that time, and in this video, I'll just give an analysis and my final take on this, and moving forward, what we can reflect. Because looking back at the 3x3 Team Kenya has played, both the men and women's side, it has left so much to be desired, and there's a long way to go. But before you get into that, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified, and also engage with the content because it helps me out a ton. And without out of the way, let's just get into it. So Team Kenya, they have not been doing one of the best preparations, and I can even say one of the best selections when it comes to selecting the national team. So one of the things that I've seen through the many videos I've made covering Team Kenya and looking at Team Kenya closely is the severe inability to understand who we are sending there and why we are sending them there, and having people play with pride. Because one thing that I've come to realize is anyone who plays for Team Kenya, it's not even about how good you are as a player. It's always about who do you know in the federation that can give you a good word in and put you there. Because you have seen many times that players who have a lot of merit and players who you see and you clearly see that they are good players not getting a fair chance and opportunity to be able to represent their country. And you're seeing such players get let out of the team, and some below average or even poor players get sent there. And even the players who get sent there and get the nod from the federation, the way they operate, do not understand the meaning and why it's important that they're supposed to participate and be able to compete at that level. In the past few months, we saw what the Team Kenya ladies did in the FIBA in the FIBA World Cup 3x3 in Japan, and they flopped hard. They failed. They lost their 3 matches, and I covered it extensively. And it was actually one of the most horrendous and horrific performances I've seen in recent times. And in this one, we saw what happened with Mongolia when we sent the Team Kenya, both men's and women's side, the under 23 team. We sent them there. It was a very poor performance coming from the women's side. I know a lot of people can say, Mary Lisa got injured. Yes, she got injured, but the other 3 players that got sent there, they had no business playing in 3x3. They had not prepared, and they were not ready mentally. And it showed, especially in the first game. They were thoroughly outclassed, and those games were just ruled as no contest because of how dominated they got. They got beat. They just got dominated both mentally, physically. They had no moves whatsoever, and the games didn't even end in regulation. In the games, there was still time left in regulation as those games came to a close. So it was so embarrassing, and it was such one of the worst performances I've seen. And even what I say here in this video doesn't even give you the whole magnitude and scene of what really happened. Because if you watch those games live and you watch the replay again and you look at the stat sheet, your disappointment will continue to increase. And this is one of those things that, this is one of those performances that you even ask yourself, what was the point of even going there if you're going to send an ill-prepared team led by ill-prepared players, an ill-prepared federation, a federation that is riddled with so much incompetence and corruption, and that leads to Team Kenya just getting embarrassed in front of the whole world. It's such a very, very bad look. And even the perpetrators that propagate this type of foolishness and stupidity, they're not held to account. And it looks like it's just another day at the office. They just continue operating. They continue to move like nothing happened. But initially, if you look back at it, it is so embarrassing, and it's something that will stick will stick with the international community for a very long time. And that label and the narrative that is going to get moved around the world is that, Kenya can't play. Kenya does not have skill, because these performances, I've been covering a lot of Team Kenya activities outside the country for about 4 years now. And what I've seen is sheer incompetence and lack of skill from our players. I'm not saying all the players are unskilled, but based on the international performances and outings we have seen, there's a lot left to be desired, especially when it comes to both 5x5 and 3x3. But in this video, I'll be focusing on 3x3. So 3x3 basketball, it tests the fundamentals that you have. It tests the player's ability to dribble, ability to rebound, ability to have awareness of where the ball is, and just seeing the overall tendencies of the player and understanding that it's a fast game, and you have to know what type of defense and offense you're going to set up based on the different matchups you have. So these are things that are severely lacking in the training camp, because you can even see the 3x3 team have training camp, but if you look at even the drills that they have, are they really addressing the type of matchups that they're going to see there, the type of matchup they're going to face there? Because by looking at what we have seen already, I don't think there's any preparation geared towards simulating an actual game as it happens, because the coaching staff, I can say, they are very, very incompetent, and the players don't even know any better because they have just been handpicked randomly, and they have not earned their spot. Because if there was a proper tryout set up and there are proper personnel that are running the training camp, and they have proper game simulations to make sure that they understand the game, even if it's talking to the players and understanding how they think during the game, this will have even assisted in the performances that we saw. The women's team were ill prepared. They got schooled, they got battered from pillar to post, and it was not even close. Majority of the time, you even ask yourself, what is the point of participating in such tournaments if you're just going to lose money? As in the Ministry of Sports, in conjunction with the Kenya Basketball Federation, that picks these players, what is the point? How can you financially account for this tournament if there's no end result for it? Because you can't justify, why do you go participate and get beat like that and lose like that? So those are the things that even those are the things that even the financiers of these tournaments will ask, why would we pay for this? Why will you pay for such tournaments if you people can't even deliver on such performances? And there are so many excuses that a lot of people like to drop for them. They have seen a lot of people in the comment section trying to defend failure. And the thing is, the people who decide to take that school of thought and defend these people just say, it's one game, but they're at the office. How do you explain 2, 3, 4 games losing with the same margins, conceding north of north of like 120 points, even 180 points in 4 games? How do you explain that? That is something that is inexcusable, and majority of the times people not like to have that conversation. And I don't think even the federation officials are ready to have such a conversation, because if you even take a closer look at what happened even in the women's team, you will understand that the players that we sent there, they are below average players. These are players that don't even have the ability to play basketball. Mentally, they are short. They don't have what it takes to be on that level. And you can clearly see corruption in the federation will never be rewarded by any success. There's no success going to come your way with how you operate. And the federation officials are going to learn the hard way, because even in the posts I was making, a lot of people are engaging with them and exposing them. So the thing is, the stupidity and foolishness that the federation officials and the people who selected that Team Kenya have exhibited have not only ruined any goodwill coming from anyone who wants to sponsor 3x3 basketball, but also has tarnished our image and name in the international community, because we're always going to be labeled as a country that cannot produce basketball players, despite the fact that there is quote-unquote growth in Kenyan basketball. We will be termed as a nation that can't produce anything. So that is what is going to follow us for years now, and it's so difficult to undo that, because all these performances, all these poor performances, all of them, they just go on record. The stats are there, the film is there, and we're going to be judged based on such performances. I can even give the nod and say at least the men tried in the games that they played. At least they got a win, and the games were a bit respectable, and we didn't get beat from pillar to post like that. At least Team Kenya, the men's team, I've seen some improvement. Okay, it was not as impressive as you might have thought, but given what happened, what has been going on with 3x3 basketball, especially last year and this year, the men's team tried. I can give them the nod, they tried. But the women's team, they are the ones who have disappointed. And even in last year's performances, as I was tracking 3x3 basketball, you can even see that the men's team were the ones that, though the weakest link was on the men's team, not on the women's team. The women's team, they were shining and they were doing their thing. But also, even despite me saying that they did their best, there are still a lot to be desired, especially when it came to preparing these players. Because some players, somebody like Koja, I'm not sure what he's doing playing 5x5 and 3x3 simultaneously, because you have to choose one. Either you specialize in 3x3 or 5x5. This mixture of just having players cross over is ruining your mentality, because Koja is not a post player. He can't play the post. His dribbling is poor, and the only bright spots I saw on that team were David and Elisha. Those are the only two guys that were doing something, and they were doing great work. I can even say Jack was good. Jackson was good in some stretches, but I couldn't rely on him 100%. But Koja, I can say, was the weakest link, despite his athleticism. Not much performance, not much production coming from there, but still, they didn't have an embarrassing performance, and they were able to hold their own in some way, and they were able to do something. But given like the whole situation of the 3x3 and how we are approaching how to prepare these players, leaves a lot to be desired, and it's a very sad situation, and I really do not like it at all. And things can be better. Things can be better if the cabal step away and let people who step away and get people who understand how to operate 3x3 basketball and how to run a proper training camp. Because every single time you suit up and your game is casted live, you have to understand that these games are going to be there forever, and whatever you did in training camp is going to be sure. We are going to see it in the actual game. So if this team performed poorly, that means that they had a very poor training camp and they have very poor personnel to assist them. So this is an indictment on the people who are selecting the Team Kenya 3x3 team. And I know a lot of people need to be fired. Like Coach Tony needs to be fired. Eunice Ouma deserves to be fired. She did a very poor job. I don't even know what her role is. I don't know why Coach Tony from Strathmore gets coaching gigs. He's a very, very poor coach. I think the cabal think that he's good, but he's not. Even the majority of the players that even get selected for the national teams, the cabal, the cartels inside Kenya Basketball Federation think that they are good, but they are not. And it's all about the connections, not about merit. So even the players who go outside there and play for Team Kenya, they are not a representation of Kenyan basketball. Let me just be clear. They're not a representation of the best basketball players, because they are not the best basketball players. And they are just given those spots. They didn't earn them. And they're very poor. And I don't think that we can even rely on them to do anything for Team Kenya. And even if they continue getting call-ups, deep down they know that they don't deserve it. And we know that we know that they know that they don't deserve it. And that's why they're not even ashamed. They have no shame losing by those points. They have no shame getting embarrassed. In fact, you're having Kenyans going out of their way to defend failure. And people who go ahead and defend failures, they are failures as well. So that's one thing that you have to understand. People who demand excellence and demand higher standards, they also exhibit higher standards as well, as we do on this channel. Because in every single post, in every single video, the whole aim is to demand excellence and good performance. If you're not getting good performance and production, what are you doing there in the first place? So that's just my take on it. So do drop me your comments down in the comment section what you think about this. I'm going to talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out.